What's up, guys? Felix here from the Shopify Masters Podcast and Podcasting Secrets. And today I want to talk to you about buying a home and what it has to do with launching a podcast, launching anything in your life. So, my wife and I are looking for a place to buy for the first time. Ever since we've lived in New York, we've always rented apartments, studios at first, and one bedrooms. And we're in a one bedroom apartment right now. Behind me is a one bedroom apartment, awesome building. Love it here. But now we have my daughter. She's a year and a half now. We live in a one bedroom. She sleeps in the same bedroom as us, and she literally sleeps like 2 feet, 2 feet away from me. I can like hear her breathing at night. She can hear me breathing at night, and we're just kind of. And we also have a 50-pound dog. He's like right down here actually. So we're in tight quarters right now. We're thinking, okay, we need to start looking at buying a place, because again, we're in tight quarters. We all kind of need a little bit of separation. We need more rooms. We need her in her own room. We need us in our own room just to kind of have some more semblance of independence, right? So there's that. And then also we move every year or 2 years. We move to a new place, and we want to be responsible parents and settle down, so we don't have to move all so much for her, give her some sense of stability, find a place with good schools, because where we live right now is a place called Long Island City, which is right outside of Manhattan, right on the western side of Queens, right, literally a 10-minute train ride into Central Park if you wanted to. So great location for young people and young families. But then once she starts getting of age for schools, we got to move out to a better school district because the ones out here are not that good. So we got to be responsible. And then we started working with a real estate agent and started going out to see listings, and we saw about 10 or 15 places, and I started feeling this itchiness. Like, I started feeling like, oh, why haven't we found a place? Why didn't we choose a place yet? Let's pick one of these places. Let's settle. Let's quote unquote, let's settle for a place. And I think that reaction is because I spent so much time hunting for apartments previously for the last 10 years, looking for apartments. We made decisions much faster, right? Because you're only locked in for 1 to 2 years when you have an apartment. But you're talking about buying a home, buying a house, you're locked in 5-10 years. If you want to do it economically responsibly, financially responsibly, you're locked in, right? So you can't just jump around. So you got to commit to a longer term kind of purchase, longer term investment. So, again, I started thinking like, oh, why haven't we chose a place? Why haven't we chose a place yet? I was looking for an immediate answer. I was looking for quick answers, and then I started realizing like, wait a second, some things, especially if they're worthwhile, especially if they're big things, you don't get the answers nearly as quickly as simple questions, right? It's kind of like a obvious thing, but I didn't kind of realize that. I didn't realize like, wait a second, if there's something that's big that I'm working on, if there's something that is a big decision I'm working on, the answer's not going to be immediate. I can't just spend a whole day, 24 hours and hammer it out and find an answer. Some things just literally take time. Even if you can spend all day on it, it's going to take time for your mind to work through, for the opportunities to present itself, for things external to you to align with the path that you're on. Not everything, when it's a big decision, when it's a big project you're working on, not everything's within your control. When it's a small decision like, hey, what do I want to eat for lunch? The decision that you make, you control the outcome of it, right? But when it's a big thing, like let's say you're buying a place, or maybe you're starting a project, maybe you're starting a business, maybe you're launching a podcast. These are bigger decisions that take longer to develop the answers, And I started thinking like, I gotta just stop always asking what is the answer, where is the answer. Some things just take time to come out. So that's the plan for our home searching, is like, stop expecting the answer so quickly, but instead immerse myself and accept and embrace the process of looking for a place. And then over time, as more again, things are external to me, right? We kind of have an idea now of what we like, what we want in a place, but those things might not be available in our budget, might not be available in the places, in the school districts that we want. So there are things external to us that need to also eventually align with our goals, align with our path, that we cannot force. So things just take time. So that's for me. Don't rush it. Be patient. And I saw this amazing quote the other day. It was a comment on another post that talked about what it means to be patient. Being patient doesn't mean to stop working on your craft daily. Stop obsessing about it. Stop, working on it daily. What being patient means is don't rush the process. It means work on your thing, whether it means to be launching a podcast or for me buying a place. Work on your thing daily, but don't rush the process. Work through the process. Don't rush it. So now I give myself a bigger runway, give myself, lower expectations on how quickly I want answers to things, and I'm enjoying the process more. I'm enjoying this process more, looking for places because I'm not expecting an answer at the end of the day of looking at going apartment or going hunting for places to buy. I'm not expecting the answer right away. I'm going to it and giving myself that bigger runway. And the biggest transformation for me is that I actually don't need the answers right away. I think for a lot of us that are ambitious, that have big goals, have big dreams, we are constantly always looking for the answers right away because we need the answers so we can move forward to the next thing. But some things just require you to suffer through not knowing the answers, and you realize that you're not going to die, you're not going to suffer, you're not going to be, hurt by not knowing the answers right away. And then I realized that as I accept that I'm not going to get the answers right away, the desire for it starts to fizzle away. But I have to let go of asking the question all the time: what is the answer? What is the answer to this? What is the answer to the right home for us? What is the answer to do I have the right podcast topic or not? Am I launching the podcast the right way or not? Asking these questions too much is just going to stress you out and actually prevent you from making the right choices, from getting the right answer, because you are so focused on finding any answer possible so you can just grab onto it and say, okay, I got the answer, and not give the opportunity for the right answer to appear and show itself. So I stopped asking myself what is the answer so much, and I got to tell myself that I don't know yet the answer, and that's perfectly fine, right? That's perfectly fine. So if you're trying to launch your podcast and you have all of these questions: where do I begin? What equipment to get? What software to get? What should the show be about? How do I produce an episode every single week so that I can get a show as long running as Felix's podcast, which has been going on for 5 years straight now? You have all these questions in your head. There are some questions that are easy to answer that will unblock you from the path of going as fast as possible to launch your podcast. And there's some bigger questions that aren't going to be answered until you spend a year working on the podcast, months working on the podcast. So these are not answers that are available, but there are no questions that are going to stop you from at least launching your podcast and putting out episodes consistently. And once you start doing that, you start realizing, oh, who is my audience? What's the topic that resonates most with me? What kind of guests do I like the most? What is my interview style? What kind of questions do I like to ask guests? So these are all things that come come over time, but they are not things that you need to know the answer to when you're trying to launch a podcast. But if you have questions on how to launch it, how to get it there, that's what my new course, Podcast from Scratch, is all about. It's about taking someone that has an idea, has an inkling, has a desire to start a podcast, maybe doesn't even know the topic yet, take them from that stage and take them to the stage where they are ready to launch a podcast. They know everything they need to know about launching a podcast. It's an hour-and-a-half masterclass. It's a Q&A at the end of it, too, to answer any questions that you have that might be specific to your situation. And for right now, it's actually 100% free, but you have to be on my email list. Just go to podcastingsecrets.co, sign up for the email list, and you will get access to the free masterclass called Podcast from Scratch when it goes live very, very, very soon, like the next week or so. So get on the email list so you'll find out about it, and hopefully it helps you out. Again, it's okay to ask the question. It might be painful. You keep on asking the same question, but at least accept that you won't have the answer right away, especially for things that are worthwhile, that are big things you're working on. Like for me, buying a place. For you, might be launching a podcast. There are some questions that can be answered, which again is going to be answered in the Podcast from Scratch course. But some bigger questions like, what is my goal? What is my message? What is my voice? Those things can only be discovered through time, but only after you've launched your podcast. So hopefully I see you inside the course, and hopefully this message helps you out. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.